Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Transportation Commission meeting. Today is Thursday, October 28th, 2021, and we are all joined here virtually. My name is Bridget Obikoya, and I am the staff liaison for the Transportation Commission. This meeting is being recorded, so I ask that you please turn off your mics when you are not speaking. Before I start with the agenda items, are there any citizen comments on matters not on the agenda? Hearing none, I will turn it over to Chairman Slatt with the first agenda item, which
Good
is,
evening.
Please go ahead.
Good evening. I think I only have one thing to talk about here at the beginning, which is that Commissioner Fessewerk emailed me this morning to let me know he is not feeling well and won't be here tonight. And in addition to that, is starting boot camp on November 15th and will no longer be in Arlington and will no longer be able to be on the commission. So I regret that he is not able to be here to say goodbye on his own, but I do want to thank him for his service on the commission and wish him all the best in his service.
All the best.
And one additional thing, I see our newest commissioner, Commissioner June Locker, has joined the call. I wanted to welcome Commissioner Locker, who formerly worked for Arlington County, has some great experience, knowing what it's like to try and do projects within DES, and is now off doing other great things in transportation and has come to lend her expertise to the commission. So welcome, Ms. Locker. Feel free to introduce yourself or say hi or anything you would like.
Hi, I'm really excited to be joining the commission and looking forward to working with everyone. And yeah, that's all I have right now.
Welcome. Okay, so now we can start with the first agenda item. Sorry about that. It's the City of Falls Church grant application to the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. And we have Richard Brusman on the call.
Good evening, commissioners. Rich Roisman, the DES Transportation Regional Planning. I would also like to introduce joining us this evening from the City of Falls Church, Ms. Carrie Odenino, who is a planner with the City of Falls Church. I will give a brief introduction based on the staff report, and then we will turn the floor over to Carrie for a quick presentation on the project. This is asking for resolution support for the city's application to the NVTA for the fiscal year 26 and 27 six-year program update for funding. The city is applying or has applied to the authority for $22.5 million in regional transportation funding for the North Washington Street multimodal improvements. Carrie will talk a little bit about the project limits, but this is the segment of US 29 near the East Falls Church Metro Rail Station, and the project is immediately adjacent to the city-county line. In fact, one of the signals that is proposed for improvement is actually owned and controlled by the county, even though it covers both jurisdictions. So the authority does not require but strongly recommends a resolution of support from the governing bodies of adjacent jurisdictions. So that is why we are bringing it forward to the TC this evening and then to the board for November. And with that, Bridget, did you want to share Ms. Odenino's presentation, or should I bring it up on my screen?
You can bring it up on your screen. If you don't have it readily available, I can.
I think I have it. Give me just a moment. Except I start at the beginning. All right, can everyone see the cover slide for Ms. Odenino?
Yes.
All right, Carrie, let me turn the floor over to you.
Do you mind putting it in presentation view?
It is a PDF, so I don't think I can get it any bigger than Emily, so I can go to full screen. Just a moment. How's that?
There you go.
All right.
Looks good.
Carrie, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, members of the Transportation Commission, and thank you, Mr. Roisman and Ms. Obikaya. I'm happy to be here tonight to discuss the North Washington Street Multimodal Improvements Project application. My name is Carrie Odenino, and I'm a senior planner with the City of Falls Church. Next slide. So the goals of the North Washington Street Multimodal Improvements Project are to improve safety and accessibility for pedestrians and bicyclists, increase travel options, and create better connections to regional transportation networks such as Metrobus, Metrorail, the W9D Trail, and I-66. The photo you're seeing on your screen shows current conditions along Route 29 in the project area. Next slide. So this project is designed to improve multimodal transportation options, as well as leverage other public and private projects in the area. This includes the redevelopment of the North Washington Street Planning Opportunity Area, as envisioned in the city's adopted small area plan. And the submitted application was for funding through the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. So the project is included under the umbrella projects, Falls Church Metro Station Access and Falls Church Multimodal Improvements. And city staff does expect that this project will help to relieve congestion on area streets and highways by increasing travel options. The city also understands this project to be consistent or generally consistent with the county's plans and policies. Next slide. So in terms of scope, the North Washington Street / Route 29 project will allow for improved safety between Great Falls Street and Gresham Place. Signal improvements will be made at the North Washington Street and Gresham Place intersection. And a high-intensity activated crosswalk signal is proposed to be installed at or near the intersection of North Washington Street and East Jefferson Street to allow better connectivity and access to both the East Falls Church Metrorail station, as well as downtown Falls Church. Utility relocation and undergrounding will be undertaken throughout the project area, as well traffic calming improvements, pedestrian improvements, and bicycle access improvements. As Mr. Roisman noted, the cost of the project in the city's submitted application is $22.5 million. As you are aware, the project is located adjacent to the city-county line. So the city plans to coordinate with the county on design for the project and signals in particular if the funding is awarded for the project. The Gresham Place signal, as Mr. Roisman noted, is currently owned and operated by the county, as is the emergency signal in front of the fire station, and city staff does understand that there are some concerns regarding the project, the proposed project scope. So the project currently is just in the conceptual phase and can be adjusted if necessary. Next slide. So in terms of the project timeline, a grant application was submitted for this project on October 1st, and then resolutions of support are due December 3rd. Preliminary engineering for the project is slated to be completed in fiscal year 27, and the project is expected to go to construction in fiscal year 28. And construction is expected to be completed in fiscal year 2029. Next slide. So I'm happy to take any questions at this time or comments.
Great. Thank you very much for your presentation. Commissioners, if you have questions, go ahead and throw your virtual hand up. I'll just start off and ask, can you speak a little bit more about the project scope? All I really heard was signal upgrades and a potential hawk signal. Is there more to it than that?
Yeah, so sidewalk widening is proposed. The city's adopted streetscape standards call for a minimum of 20-foot wide sidewalks on commercial streets. So intersection geometry, bump outs, ramps, like crosswalks sort of in between the side streets. Yeah, and then as noted, a hawk is proposed at Jefferson. We'll need to see if that works. And then upgrades to that signal at Gresham. It also, the cost estimate does include bicycle parking, benches, street trees. So I think those are, that's sort of the gist of it.
Great, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other commissioner questions or comments? Commissioner Bros, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. Is there any accommodation in that street? And I'm trying to remember it, but for bike lanes, or because it's quite close to the bike trail.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot. The small area plan, well, some of our more recent small area plans have cycle tracks sort of adjacent to the pedestrian ways, you know, and in between sort of the roadway and the pedestrian way. This small area plan was adopted in 2012. We don't have, so that's not in the, there's no sort of bikeway or cycle track proposed as part of the project scope.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Lantelmi, you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have you contacted, coordinated, or talked with the staff in Arlington that are working on the planned Langston Boulevard? Because the entire corridor is being looked at and transportation is one of the components. The other thing is Langston Boulevard Alliance, which is active in this process too.
So we previously have coordinated with Signal staff. I'm not sure that we've coordinated with sort of the point person for the overall Langston Boulevard process. But we would look to do that, you know, if we're awarded funding, to coordinate with the appropriate folks over at Arlington, as well as, you know, the Langston Boulevard Alliance, if that's something that's desired.
Yeah, I'd encourage you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great, Commissioner Locker's hand went back down. All right. Yeah, I appreciate Commissioner Bros bringing up the bike lane thing, because my recollection is that our East Falls Church area plan definitely envisions bike lanes on that portion of Langston Boulevard, you know, providing connectivity to the WNOD. So be a shame if we drop the ball yet again on a connection regionally from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But other than that, I think, you know, it's great to see new signals and improving crossings of this area, which can definitely be tough to cross if you're not at a signal. And, you know, wider sidewalks and curb bump outs are the way we do things over here. So I'm certainly supportive. Any other commissioner questions before we move to a motion? All right, then I move that the Transportation Commission recommend the county board. What is the actual action? Sorry. This is what happens when I don't have my board.
It looks like
the resolution.
It looks like someone's hand is up. I don't know if they have a question about the project.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Muradovic. Didn't see your hand go up. Go ahead.
That's all right. Thank you. I had a question. You mentioned signals. Is there a possibility that those signals would not have beg buttons for pedestrians? I know that's a thing that like we become kind of painfully aware of on Columbia Pike. and whether you would look and kind of giving pedestrians a little bit of a right of way on that street. Thank you.
Carrie, you can go ahead and then I can respond as well if you'd like.
Do you want to go first?
I mean, I would just say that, we're, given the timeline that Ms. Iannino put for PE design and construction, I think there's time to explore that. We would be looking to put in, based on whatever the county signal standards are at the time of design, implementation, and construction. So the question of beg buttons, so to speak, is something that I can bring back in to our signals folks as they look at this. But we're not going to know what the standards are that far in the future. So.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Then I move that the Transportation Commission recommend that the County Board adopt a resolution of support for the City of Falls Church application to the NVTA for the fiscal year 26 and 27 6-year program for regional transportation funding for this project on Langston Boulevard adjacent to Arlington County.
Second.
It's been seconded. Any discussion of the motion? Seeing no hands, let's move to a vote. There's my Google Doc. Commissioner Brose.
Aye.
Commissioner Buck is not here this evening. Commissioner Lantelmi.
Aye.
Commissioner.
Is that
Commissioner Luck. Yeah.
It was, sorry, you aye.
Commissioner Ludlow.
Aye.
Commissioner Muradovic.
Aye.
Price, are you here? Yes.
Aye, and ditto on the big buttons.
Let's see. Commissioner Raddick.
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Vote yes. Did I miss anyone? Hopefully not. Nope, there we go. So that passes unanimously. Thank you very much for your presentation and best of luck with NVTA.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Obakoya, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Next up on the agenda, we have the 2020 Census Profile with Emily Garrett. Hi, Emily.
Hello. Sorry, didn't expect to go on this early. Let me get the PowerPoint up. Sorry, it's been a while since I've had to share on here. Oh, let's see.
I do have the presentation if you need me to pull it up.
Let's see. I think I may have just gotten to the right place. Oops. Looks like it's loading. Great. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Great. Turn my camera on. Hi, so thank you for having me. My name is Emily Garrett, and I'm an associate planner and demographer in CPHD's director's office. So today I'll just be talking about some of the demographic resources that we have available. I'll discuss the 2020 census results so far, transportation resources in the Arlington County profile, and 2 of the dashboards we have recently created. First, I'll start with the 2020 census. So just for some background, Public Law 94-171 was enacted by Congress in December of 1975. It requires the Census Bureau to provide states with the data they need in order to conduct legislative redistricting. This data includes total population, population by race, population age 18 years and over, group quarters population, housing units, and housing vacancy. The law also requires that the Census Bureau furnish the tabulations of population to each state in small areas within 1 year of Census Day. But as we all know, we had a pandemic. Stay-at-home orders coincided with the start of the self-response period. The census was extended about 3 months and was completed in October. The good thing is that this was the first time the census could be conducted online. However, there were some challenges. For example, with colleges and universities closing, students were sent home and could have been counted at their home location instead of in student housing. The Census Bureau also introduced differential privacy, a technique used to protect individuals' privacy, but potentially at the cost of data accuracy. So the 2020 census reported Arlington's total population to be 238,643 people, growing by 31,016 persons since 2010. This is an increase of 14.9%, which is double that of the nation's growth of 7.1%. Arlington's population increase also accounts for 4.9% of Virginia's growth and 9.7% of growth in Northern Virginia. Before we get into the data by race, it's important to acknowledge that there were changes to the race and Hispanic origin question, and the Census Bureau indicated that differences in the overall racial distribution is largely due to the design and processing changes, as well as some demographic changes. The 2020 census reported that Arlington's white population makes up 58.5% and is the lowest percentage in Arlington's history. 41.5% of the population is non-white. The white population, while still the largest racial group in Arlington, only grew by 5% between 2010 and 2020. This population grew the least besides the American Indian or Alaska Native and Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, which saw a decrease in population. The Black or African American population grew by 19%. This is the first decade since the 1980 census that the population has increased in Arlington. The Asian population had the largest growth in overall population with an increase of 7,476 persons, an increase of 37.8%. Those who identify as two or more races or some other race not listed on the census had the highest growth rates of 130.3% and 144% respectively. Between 2000 and 2010, those of Hispanic or Latino origin had the largest population decline by 21.4%. The 2020 census shows that over the last 10 years, this population has surpassed their previous peak in 2000 and reached 37,362 persons. This is a growth of 19.1%, representing 5,908 persons. As mentioned earlier, this data release included population age 18 years and older. We were able to subtract the population 18 years and older from the total population to get the population under 18 years old, which is 42,080 people, increasing by 29% since 2010. The percent of the population under 18 increased from 15.7% of the population in the 2010 census to 17.6% of the population in 2020. As you can see, the percent of the population under 18 varies by race and ethnicity. The populations that I've identified as some other race, two or more races, or of Hispanic or Latino origin have much higher percentages of persons under the age of 18. Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander, Asian, and white have the lowest percentages of persons under the age of 18. Overall, Arlington's population under the age of 18 grew twice as fast as the population 18 years and over. When broken down for each race and those of Hispanic origin, only the white population and those of Hispanic or Latino origin show the same trend. The growth in the white population under the age of 18 was over 6 times that of the white population 18 years and over. Those of Hispanic or Latino origin under the age of 18 grew twice as fast as those 18 years and over. The Asian, some other race, and those of 2 or more races had higher growth rates for the population age 18 years and over compared to those under 18 years. The Black and African American population under 18 years and 18 years and over grew at relatively the same rate. The Census Bureau classifies all people not living in housing units as living in group quarters. A group quarters is a place where people live or stay in a group living arrangement that is owned or managed by an entity or organization providing housing and/or services for the residents. From 2010 to 2020, Arlington's group quarters population increased by 94 persons, from 2,892 in 2010 to 2,986 in 2020. The 2020 census reports Arlington to have 119,085 housing units, which is an increase of 13,681 units since 2010. Housing units are invariant and are not impacted by differential privacy. On the other hand, characteristics pertaining to housing, such as vacancy and occupancy, are impacted by differential privacy. As mentioned, these numbers are subject to change after the tables have been released. A household is an occupied housing unit. Every person living in that housing unit is considered part of the same household. Arlington households will surpass the 100,000 mark in the 2020 census, reaching 109,912. Over the last decade, 11,862 households were added to Arlington, the largest amount since the 1970 census. So moving on to the profile. The Arlington County Profile is an annual statistical fact book of Arlington County that has been produced by our department since 1982. It includes data on population, housing, employment, development, schools and education, multimodal transportation, community services and resources, health and wellness, and our forecasts. Here you can see our 2 pages dedicated to multimodal transportation. These pages include data from the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority on Metro rail boardings, passenger trip counts for various forms of multimodal transportation options in Arlington from DES, and information from the State of the Commute Arlington analysis. Since the planning corridors are focused around transit-oriented development, the information by corridor may also be of interest. For example, as you can see here are some population and housing statistics broken down by planning corridor. A couple things we decided to highlight is that the planning corridors combined have a population density of 34 persons per acre, which is 4 times greater than non-corridor areas of 9 persons per acre. And 90% of housing units in the planning corridors are multifamily. Another area of interest could be the forecast pages. These pages show forecast housing units, households, population, and jobs until 2045 countywide and by planning corridor. The profile can be found online as well as these resources at the link above. Here I provided a clip of the two dashboards that we've developed over the past year, the race and ethnicity dashboard and the census tract demographic dashboard. The race and ethnicity dashboard was created in partnership with SAMIA and the Realizing Arlington's Commitment to Equity group to help us understand who we are as a county, how we are progressing, and where and how we need to focus our efforts with respect to achieving our vision, mission, and goals around racial equity. This dashboard utilizes American Community Survey 5-year data that is updated annually and allows users to compare the 22 data categories seen above countywide by the chosen race or ethnicity. You were able to select the race or ethnicity you were interested in from the top, and then the variables, data tables, and charts will update. If you are interested, the data and detailed tables are available to download as well. The other dashboard we created is the census tract demographic dashboard. This provides demographic information at the sub-county level in an interactive and downloadable format, also using American Community Survey 5-year data that is updated annually. The purpose of this dashboard is for understanding demographics at a neighborhood level and can be used for reporting demographics for grants, determining communications needs for public engagement, demographics for reports and small area studies, and more. At the top of the dashboard, you were able to select the civic association or tract that you were interested in, if you know it. Otherwise, most of the functionality is on the map. Here you were able to type in an address or zoom to the area you were interested and select the corresponding census tracts. Like the other dashboard, the variables, data tables, and charts will update after selection. There's also a reporting function, so you are able to download the data as a PDF with a map and data tables or CSV file. And with that, does anyone have any questions?
Thank you very much for your presentation. Commissioners, if you have any questions, go ahead and throw your hand up there, but it was certainly very thorough.
Great.
Oh, seeing no hand. Oh, there we go. Commissioner Ludlow, go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you for this presentation. I think it's really very commendable that Arlington has produced this information consistently since 1982. It just really provides staff and other decision makers with a lot of depth in terms of their understanding of the situation. I guess thinking about the continued growth from a transportation perspective, I guess my question is one about potentially other factors that we could consider or that you may want to include in the future. A lot of the transportation statistics are related to the movement of people, but there's really nothing related to the movement of goods, including e-commerce and home-based deliveries and all of those things that we've seen change so rapidly in our lives. I recognize that not much of that data is available from the federal sources that you're using, so maybe that limits us. But just wanted to see if you had any reaction to that, especially since there's so many home-based trips now that we're generating as so many Arlingtonians have kind of shifted to work. It's been shifted their place of work to home. So thank you very much. This was great.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Lantelmi, you're up next.
Thank you. I'd like to associate myself with Commissioner Ludlow's comments and extend them. The publication you put out with the census information is fantastic. I've been using it for years. It's very, very useful. Keep doing it. I always find that where you show what the trends are more valuable than simply the snapshot numbers. So I'd encourage you to keep, wherever you can, put in trends on that document. And I'd like to add something to it. I don't remember whether it's in there, and you didn't refer to it in your presentation, but I'd love to be able to see vehicle miles traveled put in that document and show how it has changed over or not changed over the decades. This comes up all the time in transportation and planning commission meetings. And in neighborhood meetings where people say, oh, the traffic's so bad, and we keep saying, actually, it's the same as it's been 20 years ago. So that's information I think really should be out there as part of the transportation package. That's my comment. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Price, go ahead.
I also just want to associate myself with the prior comments. I think this presentation was absolutely fantastic. It's truly eye-opening to see the data figures from the census. I'm just going to be fascinated to see what the implications are for things like housing and schools and our investments in transportation. And I'm really looking forward to that conversation. But I want to quickly backtrack. I also want to thank you for the websites and for the dashboard. Tremendous stuff. It's really, again, very interesting stuff. But I am concerned. The news from last year and the census all pointed a lot of fingers. I'm not going to point any fingers because that would be too political on this call. But there was a danger out there about undercounting in terms of the census. And I know I see the figures, and again, very impressive stuff, but how did we do in terms of our actual count for the census? Do you have that information?
We are working on kind of double checking the numbers right now. So we don't know now, but we're working on that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brose, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to, just two observations. One, not really transportation related, but the increase in the under 18 population certainly provides the data that supports the concerns of our parents over the past several years about the public schools and the need to provide spaces for them. But then the other one is just the observation around the corridors and the population density around them, certainly supporting, I think, the Transportation Commission's concerns about development in those corridors and making sure that we continue to keep them multimodal and decreasing our dependence on cars. So again, really interesting data, and thank you very much for sharing tonight.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, I was having trouble wrangling my teams there. Trying to get back from when I was looking over the profile. I just want to echo Commissioner Lantelmi's point. The trends are the best part of the publication. I'd love to see more trend information, especially when it comes to the transportation section. It's great to see commute mode info in there, but it would be great to see how commute mode has changed over time and things like that. And perhaps I just missed it in my quick perusal, but I didn't see our, cars per household information in there. I know that's something that the community survey has generally been collecting. It would be great to see, what percentage of households in Arlington are car free versus 1 car, 2 car, and how that's changed over time. Would love to see that info. For me, that's more useful than, art boardings in the last year or whatever, some of the other stuff that's in there. Not that I don't love art. All right, anybody else? Last call. Seeing no hands, I will thank you very much, Ms. Garrett, for your presentation, and wish you a lovely rest of your evening.
Great, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for all the feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Capital Bikeshare updates with Paul Demayo and Jim Larson.
All right. Hey, everyone. Good evening. I'm Paul Demayo, and I will share my screen here. Good to see many of you who I know, and hello to everyone else. All righty, going to share.
While Paul's pulling that up, but just want to say hello. Also, Henry Dunbar is here with us today. If there are questions later, both of those individuals. And I have to say one quick thing for Chairman Slatt. And I think the first quarter, maybe by March, we'll be able to show you our reports showing the very things you were talking about, wanting to know more about, mode, all those things. It's in the preliminary stage, not quite done. Thank you.
Can always count on ACCS.
All righty, great. Well, thanks again. So tonight's presentation is a capital Bikeshare update and new fee structure. We presented to the Transportation Commission, I want to say earlier in the year, maybe in the springtime. So we're very glad to be back and share with you everything that we've been up to. Let's see, computer's taking a little while here to move to the next screen. Aha, there we go. All right, so hopefully everybody knows what Capital Bikeshare is, but if you don't, that's okay. We are a regional publicly provided transit system, two-wheel transit. We have about 5,400 bikes in our system, over 650 stations region-wide, from Fairfax County to PG County, Montgomery County, all the way down to City of Alexandria. And Arlington in particular has about 760 of those bikes and 104 stations. In 2021, we've been busy installing stations at these locations here. We have stations at Clark and 33rd in Crystal City. We've been moving westward on Columbia Pike. Now have another one at Columbia Pike and South Greenbrier Street. We have a wonderful new station right at the Roslyn Metro, right next to the elevator. That's doing quite well, as you would imagine. Another station at Columbia Pike and South Scott Street that went in a couple months back. Lawn Bridge Aquatic Center, 8th Road and Frederick, that's up in the Arlington Mill Community Civic Association. And then a new one right under the new bridge over Langston Boulevard at the W&OD Trail, connecting to the City of Falls Church. And also what we've been very busy doing this year is replacing stations that have reached the end of their useful life. We have, Capital Bikeshare now is 11 years old, if you can believe it. And our station useful life was predicted to be about 10 years. And we're finding the stations are, the oldest of the stations are looking like they have reached the end of their useful life with rust. The communications equipment inside the kiosk is older and not working quite as fast as modern technology is, and in our newer stations. So we have been replacing the old equipment with brand new stations and recycling everything that we can from the old stations to the benefit of the environment. So these are the stations that we have replaced so far, and we continue to do this as stations reach 10 years and on. This is some refurbishment of stations that we've been doing as well. We're the first in our 7-member Capital Bikeshare region. Some stations that have not reached the end of their 10-year useful life still look a little aged from frankly, from salt that's used during the wintertime for snow and ice removal. It gets on the metal plates and can rust the plates. So we've refurbished so far as a trial 3 of our stations at the locations mentioned here: Army Navy Drive and Nash Street in Pentagon City, George Mason and 4 Mile Run in the Shirlington area, and then also Walter Reed and 8th Road South off of Columbia Pike. And our contractor did a great job. You can see the photo on the left is what it looked like before. A lot of rust around the kiosk in particular. And the photo after is not a new station. It is the same station after the refurbishment, and it really does make a difference in the appearance. And I think because of that, further encourages people to use it and not think of it as an aged transit system that's not being loved. We love our bike share in Arlington. So rationale. Okay, so let me jump over to our new fare structure, which launched earlier this month on October 1st. So some of the rationale for the changes are we wanted to increase ridership of our e-bikes. We launched e-bikes, guess about a year and a half ago in July. They're very popular. They're being used about twice as much as our pedal bikes. We wanted to be less expensive than our original proposal for low and medium income riders. We did do because of COVID, we did do a video. DDOT, the District Department of Transportation, released it. We got some public feedback, and then we actually lowered the pricing due to the public feedback that we heard, regardless of what the Washington Post article said. And we also wanted to show the public that we heard their concerns about keeping Capital Bikeshare affordable and about making it easily affordable for low and middle income riders. We wanted to bring the non-member e-bike unlock fee in line with private micro mobility operators' unlock fees of $1. We don't look at scooter share as competition, but we did want to make it. We wanted to make it similar to the pricing that many scooter share companies in Arlington already charge. There's usually a $1 unlock fee. So our 30-minute periods for usage seemed a little bit more difficult for customers to calculate the cost of their ride. So because of the step function of our old fare structure. We also wanted to cover our 10 cent per minute operations and maintenance contract costs, which is a recently executed contract between us and Lyft, which is our operator. So the old fares are in the middle column and the new fares are in the right column. The annual membership was $85, now is $95. We hadn't increased this in 5 years. In fact, any of our fares we had not increased in 5 years. Our 30-day price, we actually brought down from $28 to $20 to help boost that up. We got rid of the 3-day membership as not many were being purchased. We kept our 24-hour fee pass cost the same. And we also have an equity fare, Capital Bikeshare or Cabby for All, that we kept the same. And this is an annual membership for low-income individuals. So we kept that at $5 per year. And actually, I should mention also that Capital Bikeshare, because we are a regional entity, we're composed of 7-member jurisdictions. So we do this all regionally. So this is input from all 7-member jurisdictions that helps us create our system and, of course, the fare structure behind it. So the new fare structure is at the top section here, and the old one's at the bottom. So we have these four trip types. We have our single trip. The classic bike is our pedal bike, and the e-bike obviously is our pedal assist, electric assist bike. And for those, these are our casual walk-up fees or fares. We have an unlock charge of $1 now, a per minute charge. For the pedal bike, our classic bike is 5 cents. And for our e-bike is 15 cents. They get 0 free minutes. And then there's an out of station fee. And that basically covers our operator going to find that bike, which may be not easy to find, not docked at a cabby station, but maybe on a quiet street somewhere behind a tree, behind a bush. So it does take a little more effort, which is why we have that charge. For our member fares, these are people who sign up for our annual membership or our 30-day membership. We have no unlock charge for them using either the classic bike, which is the pedal bike, or the e-bike. A per minute charge of 5 cents. Again, for the classic bike, and only 10 cents this time for the e-bike. our members get 45 minutes free compared to the 30 minutes that we used to offer for free. And then we still have that $2 charge for the e-bikes, which are dockless. I didn't mention that previously, but they are dockless or free floating, meaning they have an onboard cable lock, which you can use anywhere away from a station. And the old fares you can see below were a greater charge up front, either $2, $3 up above in the single trips, or $0 or $1 below. So we have kind of lowered the bar on starting the trip, hoping to encourage ridership, and then yeah. So this next slide, I'm going to show you actually how trip durations, how the fees of trip durations have changed based on our new fare structure. So here on the left column, we have the same 4 categories of trips, and then the columns, the column headers, we have the durations of 10 minutes, 19 minutes, 19 minutes being the average Capital Bikeshare trip duration in Arlington, and then increasing trip durations. So the cells in green are the costs that are cheaper now than before, and the cells in red are more expensive now than before. So I mentioned with our e-bikes, we did have increased costs from our new operations contract, because our operator originally was not as aware as to how much operating e-bikes would cost, but there are a lot more expenses associated with it. Moving the bikes, finding the bikes, as I mentioned, the replacement and recharging of batteries takes a lot more effort, and the maintenance of the bikes is a lot more detailed than our regular pedal bikes because of all the electronics that is in the e-bikes. So this shows the calculation of more expensive, less expensive, and also the white cells are the same pricing as previously, and the matrix below is the former pricing for comparison purposes. So I will leave it at that. I'm open to any questions. We'll welcome your questions, and I will leave my contact information there and stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Demayo.
Absolutely.
I can certainly feel sad about the price increase while 100% understanding it and recognizing that it is absolutely necessary. I think we were all enjoying that little honeymoon period there at the beginning before Lyft figured out how much it costs to actually operate e-bikes. I think we were all getting a subsidy there for a bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. But this new pricing will make our system more sustainable in the long run. So, that's why we're doing this.
Great. Commissioner Muradovic, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. This might seem like an obvious point, but in my experience, sometimes they need to be made. When you talked about salt corrosion on the metal, there's been like a ton of improvement in terms of corrosion-resistant marine paints. And I was wondering if you had ever considered maybe applying one of those paints that might usually go on a ship instead of on, like a normal metal thing inside an urban area in the US, because it's kind of a unique thing having that metal plane down on the ground. It's not a normal placement, it seems like. So I'm sure like you have already thought about it, but just in case you haven't.
Actually, that's a really interesting idea. We had our stations refurbished with an outdoor Rust-Oleum paint. But I don't know if it's marine grade. So we can certainly look into that for future refurbishments. I mentioned that we were the first of our member jurisdictions in the DC area to do this refurbishment. So we were kind of learning about the process along the way. Another thing that I will mention is we're working on a new equipment procurement right now. And in this, we are asking for pricing for hot dipped galvanized metal. And this is what our bike racks are made out of and are more rust resistant because of that. So our current plates are not hot dipped galvanized because the cost is more expensive. But if you have to refurbish the plate in 6-7 years, then maybe the pricing is actually less expensive to do it right the first time around when you're manufacturing it. So that will be included. But I appreciate your suggestion about the marine grade. I'm definitely going to look into that.
Thank you.
I've seen, I feel like more than I used to, complaints and concerns amongst Bikeshare users about software issues and the website and having trouble renewing or getting auto-renewed when they didn't want to and things like that. Have there been, I feel like lots happens behind the scenes in Capital Bikeshare, right? It's this complicated. There's many jurisdictions and an operator and Metro Bike and a lot going on. Can you talk at all about, how things have been over the last year or two with Lyft and operations and new equipment interfacing with old software and vice versa? Anything like that for me?
Sure. That's a big question, Chris. I can say that it is. Everything is an iterative process. Lyft is our operator. They also maintain our website for us. And we work together collaboratively, all 7 member jurisdictions and the operator, to try to get things done right the first time. There are, and sometimes it just doesn't look the way it should. And therefore we work with them and work amongst each other, our 7 member jurisdictions, which sometimes have differing views on topics and different policies. But we work together to try to get things the way they need to be and to best serve our customers. We're all coming to it from the same perspective of wanting to do this, provide the best transit service in the region for our customers, to limit disruptions, to ensure the smooth functionality between jurisdictions. And for the times it doesn't get like that, then we're on it. And we do listen to the public on Twitter and through emails, so that we can make sure that we're aware of these deficiencies and make sure our operator is aware of them as well. I'm happy to talk more specifically about any particular item. I didn't mean to keep that just general, but I think that kind of goes for everything across the board when we have these issues.
Thanks. Yeah, I high level is fine. It's one of those, like, I feel like I'm seeing more and hearing more. So yeah, I didn't have any specific
Chris,
there.
If I could just speak, this is Henry Dunbar. I'm with ACCS Active Transportation. I do a lot of the promotional marketing things. You are correct. We're seeing a lot, particularly as related to the corporate accounts, in particular on the back end. A lot of people had difficulties. Some of that language that Lyft initially assigned to the accounts was very confusing. So I've been working with them to try and get that cleaned up. For example, it would say your next renewal date is X on your corporate account, which would imply that it's going to auto renew, when in fact you can't do that. You have to manually re-up those. So again, I was getting emails almost on a daily basis for a while there. So it's gotten a lot better, and I will admit that has sort of come down. That only affects about 25% of the annual memberships, so it's not the majority. But as Paul noted, when they did the new app and the new accounts, a couple of things happens. One, they had to put in GPS capabilities to accommodate the dockless e-bikes, which is a very complicated thing. It was done fairly seamless, but also security measures they put in place for, verification. So now with the cell phone, you have to put that in pretty much to access your account at any point. And we now have a secondary email verification that you have to do to log in. A lot of that was to cut down on fraud. We were seeing there was a lot of, for a while there, some credit card things of accommodating theft of the bikes. And so there was a concerted effort to really make it harder for people to access some of their accounts and data with fraudulent information. So.
Thanks. That's actually a great segue. My next question was about whether you're seeing increased bike theft, because again, I feel like anecdotally on Twitter, I see a whole lot more of people finding what are clearly old Capital Bikeshare bikes that have been, spray painted to be a little more incognito, hopefully finding their way back to Capital Bikeshare. Is that been an increased problem, or is it just that same background amount of it and I'm just seeing it more?
I think what the issue is that the equipment is getting older, and because of that, when folks try to dock a bike, it's not docking correctly because the mechanism that captures the bike is not capturing it properly, and the individual should be waiting until they see that green light and hear the bike bell signaling that the bike is returned, but folks don't always do that. So I think that, with our equipment replacement in Arlington, and also DC is doing this, DC and Arlington being the jurisdictions that created Capital Bikeshare originally in 2010, it's getting that old equipment that's not functioning properly out of the system and putting in brand new equipment. So I think we'll see fewer thefts because of that, or fewer missing bikes because of that. And it's just going to take time until we get all those older stations replaced and repaired.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Ludlow, thank you for your patience. You're up next. Go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple of questions, two categories of questions. The first one is on really market share and market reach. I think this is a fantastic program. I would love to see more people availing themselves of it. Most of my office in Georgetown subscribes and commutes on either this or the Circulator. And some of the folks who've moved from the Northeast have commented on how much better price this is relative to, say, city bikes in New York. So my question on the pricing is just getting some sense of some of the market research you've done specifically for Arlington and what that could mean to the Transportation Commission and the county in terms of things we could do to help raise that market share. I mean, certainly the pricing is one of them, and I applaud the continued price that provides availability to all income levels with the $5 minimum annual. I think that's fantastic. But just, what are your strategies and kind of market research on Arlington? What can we do better? Way up north in where I live, which I think Commissioner Slat has maybe called South McLean, but it's really North Arlington. We are a place that has zero density of bike share capabilities, and maybe that's for a reason. But I would love to see one. Certainly not they don't need to be as densely placed. But I wondered whether you had piloted in less dense situations as well. I'll stop there. Actually, those are most of my questions and comments. So again, the pricing and market research. Have you done any suburban testing or piloting? What about the lower density areas? Are you kind of aiming the e-bikes at those areas as well? Because they have self-locking capabilities. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good questions. So regarding North Arlington, kind of upper North Arlington, from the onset, our goal was to have stations south of Langston Boulevard, just because density is greater there, and there's more biking with more destinations and nearby, and metro corridors and bus corridors and whatnot. So that said, we've been looking at getting a station at Marymount for many years. We've just had some difficulties in getting that done, but we continue to try to do that. And so that'll help serve that neighborhood and the university better. E-bikes do currently get up all throughout the county, as you mentioned. Regarding and then also Fairfax County and PG and Montgomery all have stations in lower density neighborhoods. So it is done. It's just it just makes the station less generating less fare box cost recovery. But of course we're a public system, and you mentioned City Bike. City Bike is actually privately owned, and Capital Bikeshare is publicly owned. So that's why we're able to more greatly subsidize the cost of the service, because we do want everybody to use the system, and we do have very inexpensive costs compared to City Bike and probably most other systems. So now to your question about market research, we did compare our service to private scooter share and private e-bike share services in Arlington and the region. And I believe the cost of those services range from maybe, the same unlock fee of $1, but it'll be, per minute from like 22 cents to 45 cents per minute. And so that's pretty significant, where Capital Bikeshare is maybe a half to a quarter of what the private scooter share companies are. You compare that to ride-hail services, Uber and Lyft, Via. Capital Bikeshare is a great deal, $95 for a year compared to maybe 7 Lyft rides. So we do think we have a great service that is inexpensive, and we're trying to get it throughout the county, and we continue to get stations and expand so that we can reach all areas of the county.
Great, thank you. I'm really excited to hear that you're looking at Marymount. I think that would be a great first inroads into an area that I feel has some potential, limited, but some.
Yeah, I definitely have a friend of a friend who harangues me every time she sees me, asking me when Bikeshare is coming to Marymount. So the demand is definitely there.
Yeah, I think with Marymount, you've got a network. Also, the other thing is, wherever there's a suburban area with where there's a kind of a rich network connection of separated bike lanes on the streets, I think that probably makes it even more palatable. A lot of people in my neighborhood ride to work on their own bikes or their own e-bikes, but sometimes, frequently you have to. That has to be a day when you can ride in and out, and many days you may need to Uber in and ride out, or you could ride in and Uber out. So there's kind of those split trip characteristics in certain areas where people are wanting to do that, and I think if you're looking at places that are near the network of the trails, including the cohort that rides the steep hill down to Chainbridge every day. I'm part of that group, and there's some density there. There's some density on those types of routes. So Marymount sounds like a good start.
Yeah, one-way trips are definitely Capital Bikeshare's secret weapon. So years ago, 2016 maybe, maybe before that, Capital Bikeshare did a transit development plan, like they were a transit system, that laid out what expansion might look like and where they might go, and did kind of a constrained station expansion plan and an unconstrained, if we had more money, station expansion plan. And for those of us who want to see Capital Bikeshare bigger and better in Arlington, it was an extremely useful document to weave in front of decision makers. But I've never seen an update to it, and it seems pretty out of date at this point. Is there anything in the works to do a new plan for Capital Bikeshare in Arlington, looking to the future of, if it were to have new stations, where would they go, and how much would it cost, and how long would it take, and that sort of thing?
Yes, and I'll let Henry start it off, and then I'll step after him.
Yeah, it's just I was actually typing up some notes on that this week. It is outdated, and we are planning to do it. There is money in the most recently approved CIP for updating that. We will be working on an RFP to get that out, to hire a consultant to work on that exact thing. So I am, as we speak, putting together the, again, the things that we would want them to look at, including public health data, density, all of the things. If you've seen the one that DDOT put out, it's, I've sort of borrowed theirs, and I'm looking at that to sort of steal notes on what to do. But yes, we're very excited to finally get that updated as well. So stay tuned. Hopefully within the next year, we'll have something else out.
Fantastic.
And I was just going to add to that we do have funding for expansion stations for the CIP that Henry mentioned. We have funding for 5 expansion stations, not replacement, but expansion for the next 3 years. And then beyond that, 4 stations per year for the following 7 years. So we do plan to continue expanding and reaching more of the county, and also doing infill as well.
Our current adopted capital plan is for 3 years, so I feel like I just got a preview of what we might see in this coming 10-year CIP next spring.
The numbers on paper right now, Chris, but we're very excited. Yes. Wait till we see the steel on the ground before we get too excited, but yeah.
Any other commissioner questions? I don't see any more hands. All right, seeing none, thank you very much for coming back out. Appreciate the update, and see you out on the trails.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And with that, we're done with our agenda items. Other business, you all should have received an online feedback opportunity for the new Penn Place Amazon HQ2. If you did not, please let me know, and I'll make sure that your email addresses have been added. I did add the 2 newest commissioners to the listserv, but I'm not sure if you're receiving them yet. If you are not, please let me know.
Yeah, I did receive it. Thank you for sending it. And I actually went on the tour today, which was really fascinating. So
awesome.
It was my first one.
I'm going to look.
It was well attended. There were many news stations there. You can probably watch on ABC or CBS tonight.
Tonight, yeah. Commissioner Lockhart.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Okay. Did you receive the email? I'm not sure if you made it to this round.
I don't think I did. I was just looking for it. I saw 2 emails, but I don't recall seeing this.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Abakoya, I don't think I received it either, strangely. So.
Okay, have you been receiving other ones?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Okay, I'll forward it to you as well.
Thank you.
Okay. And with that, I don't have any other business. Commissioner Slatt, Chairman.
Yeah, let me reply to an email that Commissioner Ludlow sent me via talking.
You got me already. That's exactly what I was going to bring up. So
awesome. So current things that are in site plan review are Penn Place, which Commissioner Buck has withdrawn from. So I am taking back over with some help from Commissioner Maradovic as kind of an alternate. So that is handled at least from a site plan review meeting standpoint, but I encourage all transportation commissioners to respond to the online feedback. I encourage all transportation commissioners to send me any thoughts that you have on Penn Place, et cetera, et cetera. The Marbella Apartments is in site plan review. Commissioner Brose is handling that one. That's in that is that Fort Myer Heights there on the south of 50, south
Fort
of
Myer.
Roslyn?
Radnor Heights, yep.
Radnor Heights. So many heights. We have a lot of heights in Arlington.
My neighborhood, actually, but anyway.
Very interesting development over there, trying to make use of the bonus density for 100% committed affordable that the county board passed not that long ago. So definitely generating some talk going to 12 stories there in Radnor Heights. And then Wendy's residential, so that's in Courthouse there, right near the county building. The old Wendy's building had an office building approved for it, but nobody wants to build an office building anymore. So that's come back in for residential. I've been responding on that one as if I'm doing SPRC, but if somebody else wants to do it, that would be great. Just let me know. I'd be happy to pass that one off because I have way too much on my plate right now. And then we're going to have, I think, sometime in the next couple months, another Crystal City plan, Crystal something 5, Crystal Plaza 5, maybe, some word that they've stuck in there, will come in. And then the Xerox building in Roslyn, right there at like Arlington Boulevard and Fort Myer Drive, has a preliminary site plan in that will probably go active soon. So always looking for people to do site plan review. It's a great opportunity to really make a difference and improve the streetscape or the circulation around the development that's coming in. So if any of those interest you, just email me. Happy to get you onto SPRC, just like Commissioner Bros just went on SPRC. And I think that's everything. Does that answer all of your questions, Commissioner Ludlow?
Yes, that helps a lot. And I will, and I'm sure other commissioners will take a look at the information that's available for some of the, for the Wendy's and then the upcoming, and see if we can contribute there. I think it would also be helpful. I'm not quite sure what the role of a transportation commissioner is on site plan review. So if there's anything that Ms. Obakaya has on that, that would be helpful. But thank you. Yes, you've answered my questions.
Regarding your role in site plan review, any issues, concerns, ideas that you have related to the site plan that you can contribute to the site plan review process would be extremely helpful. And once you click on the link for the site plan review and you examine the site plan and identify what the issues are, you can email those directly to the planner assigned to that site plan. And if anyone else has anything to share based on your experience, I welcome that too.
Yeah, as chair of the Planning Commission, you are more than welcome. And what I would say is certainly you can comment on anything that comes up, all the topics, but definitely your background in transportation. And that usually means parking and the parking amount, TDM for the site, especially when it's an office building, curb cuts, pedestrian sidewalk width, accessibility. Let's see, is there a bike share nearby? Number of bicycle rooms and how convenient they are, how easily they can be accessed. Is if the site is going to be redoing the streets around it, is there going to be a bike facility put on that street, and ideally a cycle track? What else do we have? Are there intersections going to be controlled? Let's see, traffic calming if appropriate. There's so many transportation type issues that can be addressed at an SPRC. It all depends on the site, but definitely look at the online information first. There'll be presentations from both the staff and the applicant, and then there's often just slides, other information, so you'll be able to walk into it with either saying, "Hey, this looks great to me," or "I don't know about this. Let's talk about this further." And certainly contact any of us, Chairman Slat, me, if you want further guidance on this. So anyway, that's my in a nutshell, what you can do at an SBRC, and for that matter, LRPC or ZOCO. Thank you.
Hey, we don't let transportation commissioners go to ZOCO. Commissioner Locker, go ahead.
Just a clarifying question. So each commissioner should submit their own reviews. Okay. So it's not a consolidated response. It's an individual response.
So let me put a little nuance on it. So there's kind of two parts of site plan review. There's sort of an open public online engagement, and I encourage everybody to submit their own comments as part of the open virtual online engagement. And then one Transportation Commission member is assigned to that development and attends the online virtual meetings where that site is reviewed. And if you have, I encourage everybody to send any of their thoughts to that one commissioner for kind of further discussion during the meeting, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. Thank you for the clarification.
Commissioner Raddick, is there anything new on the Clarendon sector plan update that we should know? I feel like a meeting just got canceled, but things do seem to be moving along.
Yeah, I wasn't sure why that was canceled, but I think there's at least one other meeting still planned related, I think, on that. At least that's the timeline I remember from 2 months ago.
Yeah, I think another meeting is definitely coming. Make sure they don't tear out my protected bike lanes on Kirkwood Road. All right, anything else for the good of the order? I will say to everybody, the Pentagon City planning study that we heard, got a nice preview on last month, is also in the middle of an open public comment period, and the draft is a new version, a new draft updated from what was presented to us. So if you were swayed by Commissioner Buck's concerns about the Pentagon City planning study document, I encourage you to take a look at that second draft and weigh in, because I will say very few of them were addressed in this updated draft. And I think that's all I've got for the good of the order. Commissioner Locker, is your hand still up or did it go back up?
Muradovic.
All right, Commissioner Muradovic, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question about these open comment periods. Is there a place where you can where all of these are listed? Because I'm having a hard time keeping track of these, and Pentagon City, Penn Place, a lot of these have like similar names, and I'm like, have I already written something about that, or have I not? So I don't know, it would be awesome if we had it on our transportation commission website, like a set of links, but there probably is a place and I just don't know it.
Yeah, just a sec, I'll drop a link into the chat.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if it's helpful to everyone, I can also add the link to the TC website.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
No, it's nice to have the opportunity to just go ahead and do those responses, but yeah, organizing, I'm with the other commissioner. Yep.
There you go. I just dropped a link in the chat. Go ahead and bookmark that. That's not specific to transportation, but is generally a web page on the Arlington site where the public engagement folks try and include a link to anything that is open for public engagement right now. So stuff doesn't go there automatically. Staff has to remember to post it, but they're generally very good about it. And so when a site plan is open for online engagement, it'll be there. But also, I think the budget, like the county is getting ready to allocate some federal COVID funds. There's a feedback form on that that you can fill out. There's a feedback form about some other plans in the county that have nothing to do with transportation. So that's just a great page to look at once every week or two, and see what's going on in the county and how your voice can be heard. It's a good one.
All right, thank you.
And I'm impressed at how quickly you dropped that link in the chat. Wow. Do you keep those readily available like that?
It would have been so much faster if they hadn't redone the website so awfully so recently. They broke all of my bookmarks.
I won't say anything about that tonight.
All right. Anything else for the good of the commission? Ms. Oyebukoya, when's our next meeting?
It's November 22nd at 7 p.m.
Yes, which is Monday. Different
That's
day of the week than usual because we don't want to meet on Thanksgiving because that would be weird. All righty. All right, then I will declare us to be adjourned. Thank you, everybody. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.